But first, there is this. Officials from ICE and U.S. Customs and Border Protection set to testify before both House and Senate Homeland Security Committees next month. Senate Chair Rand Paul requesting the oversight hearings following a second fatal shooting by a federal agent in Minneapolis over the weekend. Acting ICE Director Todd Lyons, CBP Commissioner Rodney Scott, and U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Service Director Joseph Edlow will all testify before the House on February 10th. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem is scheduled to testify March 3rd. Lawmakers from both sides of the aisle have been calling for accountability, even for her resignation, while threatening impeachment if she remains in office. Pennsylvania Senator John Fetterman calling on the president to fire Noem, writing on X, "She's betraying DHS's core mission and trashing your border security legacy. Do not make the mistake President Biden made for not firing a grossly incompetent DHS secretary." President Trump, though, telling reporters that the secretary will not be stepping down. I want to bring in Kentucky Senator Rand Paul. He chairs the Senate Homeland Security Committee. Mr. Chairman, you're the one that asked for this testimony next month from these officials. First, though, I want to get your thoughts. President Trump seeming to defend Kristi Noem yesterday. Your thoughts?
You know, I think one of the best things President Trump has done, and really people from across the aisle support, is removing violent people from our cities. So I think that's been a good thing largely, but it can't be done with no rules. And so when people watch that video and the government tells them, well, he was assaulting the police officers, nobody with any objectivity watches that video and believes that's what's happening. As the man retreats, with each altercation, he retreats, and then the woman is thrown violently to the ground. He's thrown to the ground. No American believes that he was assaulting the officers. In fact, the opposite appears to be true. So we have to get some rules of the game, and we can't have the government justifying this type of behavior because the vast majority of Americans think this was unfair, what happened. The intimation, or actually the explicit call to say you don't have a Second Amendment right to carry arms in a protest really flies in the face of most of our Second Amendment community. I can tell you I've been to dozens and dozens of rallies and or protests where people are visibly armed or have concealed carry. So the people who are saying this, we need to get this straight so we can have some kind of awareness if people go to a protest that they know what the rules of the game are. If videoing somebody is an assault, which most people don't believe it is, but that is assault, then people need to know that if you video someone, you could be shot. And so we need a clarification on all of this, and I'm going to reserve judgment on the secretary for now, but we need to hear from all of the people involved with this, and we need to know going forward that there will be some rules. There needs to be an independent investigation, for goodness sakes. There has to be an investigation. If this happened on a police force, the officers, whether or not they committed anything wrong, would immediately be put on administrative leave, and there would be an investigation. But I don't know who trusts an investigation to be done by DHS when they're the ones calling this person an assassin, a would-be assassin, a domestic terrorist, saying he was assaulted the police. How can they be in charge of an independent investigation? Something's got to happen here.
So who else could conduct the investigation then? If it's not DHS, who's going to do it?
I think that's a good question. Within police bodies, you know, most police are not elected. Some sheriffs are elected. A lot of sheriffs are. But there are independent police organizations that review these things. And look, I'm not one saying the officers are guilty of anything criminal. They, in all likelihood, were trying to do their job. But in all likelihood, this is going to be a tragedy. I mean, it is a tragedy. I mean, I think the guns were prematurely drawn and prematurely fired after a gun had already left the scene. I think someone was shouting gun, 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 and they were worried that maybe the perpetrator had it when indeed one of their own agents had it. So it was a mistake. But if we don't say it was a mistake, if we say this is just jolly well and good, he was a terrorist, people aren't going to accept that. You want Minnesota to calm down? We have to show that there's a just and independent investigation here.
This flows into the next question for you, and that is over funding for DHS, because Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer wants Majority Leader John Thune to separate out funding for the DHS. And then this basically could take us to a government shutdown. Now, this is after, of course, that shooting that we're talking about in Minneapolis. Senate Republicans went ahead with that $6 billion funding package. This avoids a shutdown. What do you think is going to happen here? You know, the Wall Street Journal is reporting that an administration official is telling the Senate Democrats, hey, we'll make changes to the Department of Homeland Security. We'll make enforcement operations. Greg Bovino has been removed from Minneapolis. Where are we right now with this?
The average annual ICE appropriation is about $10 billion. That's what's in this package. But you have to realize that last summer they got an extra $75 billion over 4 years. So it's about $18 to $19 billion extra per year. Now, I'm not saying that there won't be any funding for ICE, but let's say there weren't and it came to an impasse and they didn't get funded, they would still have $20 billion this year, nearly $20 billion from the big, beautiful bill. So there's an enormous amount of money floating around. For the wall is estimated from different estimates to cost between $6 and $12 billion, maybe $15 or $16 billion on an expansive notion. They gave them $45 billion. So there is so much money running around this place that really we ought to be having a discussion about the deficit, $2 trillion deficit, whether or not we just throw money. Look, I'm for controlling the border, but you know, President Trump did it in 3 months with no extra money. Now, I acknowledge there need to be some money, but we've thrown so much money at this problem that, you know, there are just piles of it sitting around that I think people ought to think this through before. It's not all or none. I don't want to defund ICE, but I'm not sure I want to give them billions and billions more without any kind of signs of there are going to be some rules of the game and there will be an independent investigation.
Well, we know there's a test vote tomorrow on the floor, so we'll see where that goes, Senator. Before you go, I do want to ask you about this, Mr. Chairman. You're opposing provisions in a federal spending bill to provide over $5 billion for refugee assistance programs. Now, that funding is part of the Labor, Health, and Human Services Appropriations bill, another bill. Tell us more about this and why you're opposed to it.
Well, you know, you've heard, and there's been a lot of news reports about the fraud occurring in Minnesota. I think it makes people mad. It makes me mad. And then I see in the appropriation bills that all the people who are going on television squawking about this are now voting to give another $5 billion to these programs. You can't just say, oh, we'll have better people next time and we're going to send people to Minnesota to clean it up. Yes, we should try to do that. But the way you clean it up is you give them less money. And really, I think at this point, there's so much fraud in these programs that I would zero out the refugee programs. Does that mean no refugees? No. If churches and people want to bring refugees and they welcome them to this country and they come legally, they should pay for them. Charity's when you give your own money. It's not charity to bring people in and then have billions of dollars taken from the taxpayer. So I think all refugees that come to this country should not get any welfare. Doesn't mean they can't get assistance. Churches and individuals should help them, but shouldn't be any government assistance because I think it becomes a beacon to an entire group of people. You know, look, half of Somalia seems to have come to Minnesota. So I think the way you stop that is you have to stop these refugee programs. And I think it points out some hypocrisy on the Republican part that on the one hand, they're all, oh, we need to do something, we need to do something. And then they're going to fund another bill with $5 billion more for refugee programs, refugee welfare, essentially.
Senator Rand Paul, it's always great to have you on the program. Thank you so much for being here. We're going to be watching everything in Washington. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right.